The wall had stood for centuries, a towering structure of stone and steel, stretching endlessly in both directions. No one alive remembered a time before it. The elders spoke of an age when people lived beyond, when the world was vast and unbroken. But that was before the monsters came. Now, the wall was the only thing that separated humanity from the horrors outside. Its surface was weathered, marked by countless claw marks where creatures had tried to climb but failed. Guards patrolled its top, their torches casting flickering light across the battlements. Below, in the city nestled within its shadow, life continued in a twisted facsimile of normalcy. Elias had grown up staring at the wall. As a child, he had pressed his ear against its cold stone, imagining he could hear the monsters breathing on the other side. His parents warned him not to dwell on it, that curiosity about the beyond only led to madness. He tried to heed their words, but the whispers of the wall never left him. At 17, he was drafted into the Guard, as all able-bodied youths were. He learned to wield a sword, to fire a crossbow with deadly precision. Most importantly, he learned the truth. The monsters were real, and they were relentless. Each night, they came, their shrieks splitting the air as they hurled themselves at the wall. The Guard would fend them off, killing dozens before sunrise. And still more would come the next night. But the wall held. It always held. Yet Elias began to notice something odd. The city's fear was directed outward, but its real danger lay within. There were disappearances, people vanishing from their homes without a trace. Whispers in the marketplace spoke of strange figures seen slipping through the alleys at night, shadows that moved without sound. The city's rulers, the enigmatic council, ignored these rumors, dismissing them as the paranoia of a frightened populace. One evening, while patrolling near the lower gates, Elias saw something that made his blood run cold. A man, cloaked in dark robes, emerged from a hidden passage at the base of the wall. Elias had never seen that passage before. The man glanced around, unaware of Elias watching from the shadows, then slipped beyond the wall. Elias' pulse pounded in his ears. The gates were only opened for expeditions, scavengers and scouts who braved the outside to gather resources. No one left without clearance. And yet, here was a man walking into the night as if he feared nothing beyond. Against every instinct screaming at him to turn away, Elias followed. Stepping past the threshold filled him with a dread he had never known. The air was thick, filled with a scent of damp earth and decay. The world beyond the wall was not a wasteland, as many believed, but a dense, twisted forest, its trees gnarled and reaching like skeletal hands. The moonlight barely pierced the canopy, and strange, guttural sounds echoed in the distance. Elias kept to the shadows, tracking the robed figure as he weaved through the trees. They walked for what felt like hours before reaching a clearing where others waited. Hooded figures surrounded a stone altar, its surface slick with something dark. In the center, bound and gagged, was a young girl, no older than 10. Her eyes were wide with terror. The leader of the robed figures stepped forward and raised a dagger above the girl. Elias' breath hitched. He had no love for reckless heroism, but he could not stand by and watch an innocent die. He knocked an arrow and let it fly. The leader crumpled with a gurgling scream. Chaos erupted. The cultists scattered, shrieking in panic. Elias rushed forward, cutting the girl's bonds with shaking hands. She clung to him, sobbing, and he turned to flee. But something was wrong. The air shifted, heavy with a presence more suffocating than fear itself. A sound rumbled through the trees, a growl, deep and inhuman. From the shadows, a figure emerged. It was unlike any monster Elias had fought. Humanoid, yet grotesquely elongated. its mouth stretched into an unnatural grin, filled with jagged teeth. Eyes, too many of them, gleamed in the darkness. The cultists had not been worshipping it. They had been feeding it. Elias ran, half-dragging the girl. The thing pursued, moving with impossible speed, weaving through the trees like a wraith. The city's walls loomed in the distance, but the gate was shut. No one would open it in time. A scream built in Elias' throat as the creature closed the distance. Then an explosion of light. Flames erupted from the battlements, torches igniting the treetops. The guards had seen. Arrows rained down, and the creature recoiled with an unearthly screech. Elias reached the wall. Hands pulled him and the girl up as the gate cracked open just enough for them to slip through. The moment they were inside, the gate slammed shut. Panting, Elias looked up to see the captain of the guard staring down at him, expression unreadable. The girl whimpered, pressing into his side. "Explain," the captain ordered. Elias did. He told them everything, the secret passage, the cult, the creature. Silence hung heavy when he finished. Then, without a word, the captain turned to the assembled guards. "Take him." Elias blinked. "What?" Arms seized him, wrenching him away from the girl. He struggled, but the grips were ironclad. Horror dawned on him as the captain knelt before the child, brushing her tear-streaked face. "You weren't supposed to be found," he murmured. "But it's all right. You'll be safe now." The girl recoiled. You're one of them." The captain smiled. "Of course. Who do you think built the wall?" Elias screamed as they dragged him away, his mind shattering with the realization. The wall wasn't to keep the monsters out. It was to keep them in. Locked away in a cold, damp cell, Elias strained against the chains binding his wrists. Footsteps echoed in the corridor outside, and he knew his fate was sealed. The council would never let him speak. They would erase him like the others. But as he listened closely, past the dripping water and the murmurs of his jailers, he heard something else. A faint scratching at the stone, coming from beyond the walls of his cell. Something was coming. And this time it wasn't bound by the wall's confines.